Don't watch at night warning up top. This is a book club episode, meaning that months in advance, we selected a book and we announced it on our show for you to read along with us so that you could then come to the discussion episode. Do consider the fact that we're about to drop some spoilers galore. So now you get to choose your own adventure. Hello and welcome back. This is Don't Watch at Night, a spooky little podcast dedicated to Spanish language horror and Latin American horror. I'm your host, Valerie.
And I'm Veronica.
Your hair looks nice. You just did that little swishy swish and that looked nice. You hurt your neck, didn't you? How's it going?
I'm tired, to be honest.
No joke. I'm tired too. I woke up. I did a little cat nap. I woke up like 30 minutes ago. And as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to go to bed.
No, but this is my second. I don't know why. It sounds muffled.
Can you hear?
Like it? No, I can hear you, but it sounds like when you have like a head cold.
Oh.
And like you're listening to something like through cotton or. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. My mic was giving me issues again right before recording, so maybe I did something and I'm impacting how you're hearing me. I don't know.
But I can hear you. It's how I hear myself.
You're on week 2 of
having to go back into the office, and I'm just not used to having to wake up at 5 a.m. anymore.
Well, you said it's like an hour drive there.
Pretty much, but in traffic.
2-hour round trip every day. It sucks.
I mean, I did it for years before I got this job that was working from home, but.
Yeah, I guess like when I think about it, when I worked downtown, it was like an hour to get there and an hour to get home every day. So makes sense. As you know, Veronica and I have been trying to record. Welcome to Book Club episode, by the way. We're talking book club, and we'll get to it in just a second. But we've been trying to record this episode for like a number of days now, and so we're recording on a Thursday night, and I'm exhausted just because this season of parenting. Kind of the worst. just like you're running like when they're young. I'm gonna go on a mom rant for a minute. When they're young, it's a different kind of exhausting because they need you all the time and you're new to it. Everything is kind of it takes up all of you all the time. And then when they get to this stage, they're more self-sufficient in a lot of ways, but then it's just a lot of you driving them everywhere, doing this, doing that, all kinds of things, pulling our schedule in all kinds of different directions on top of our own stuff, our own personal stuff. So what was that? Did you hurt yourself?
Yes, I hit my ankle bone on this wooden desk.
Okay. Maybe just settle down over there. So anyway, I'm tired. I'm pissy. I'm ready for sports to be over. I'm ready for school to be done. I'm over it. So guys, if we do have a couple of new folks subscribed to the show. Thank you so much for joining our little community here. I will give you just a little bit of a brief intro into what we do. Kind of set it up top, but we are a podcast that really focuses on lifting up Spanish language horror films and Latin American horror films. We also periodically sprinkle in our episodes with book club. And so you are listening to a book club episode. We picked out a book a couple months ago now, and we give you plenty of time to read through it so that you can then come to the book club episode and join and listen to the conversation. Veronica and I are not book reviewers. We're not professional film reviewers. We're just fans of horror. And so we started this podcast 2 years ago this coming summer, and we've been going strong ever since. So welcome. With every book club comes a cocktail pairing. So I guess now we can get to the drink segment. This is notoriously the segment where Veronica's eyes glaze over. She's not an imbiber, which is fine. So we'll get to that. Disclosure, I'm not imbibing this evening. I've been feeling really, really run down. I just woke up. I fell asleep in the closet. I like laid down in the closet because I was so tired and I nodded off for like 20 minutes. So as soon as we're done recording, I'm probably going to go to bed and live to fight another day. I did bring stuff here to the office so that I can talk about the drink that we paired for this book. For those of us who know what we're talking about the book Fever Dream. If you've read Fever Dream, then you know that mate is mentioned a few times in the story. Not all of our book club beverages work so directly with the books. Sometimes if a particular spirit is mentioned in the book or like maybe a specific region, I do try to see if I can find something that pairs well and correlates with that. So I was able to find a drink that features mate. For those of you who just recently learned what mate is, I would like to give you a little bit of information on it. Ronnie, you've heard of mate before?
I don't even remember that it was mentioned in the book. No, I've never heard of it.
It comes up a couple times. It's mentioned more than once. I didn't know what it was until honestly, that Meghan Markle or Meghan Sussex, I believe is what she goes by now. That show on Netflix. I watched that, and she has an episode where
Suits?
no, her like lifestyle show. She has a new lifestyle. It's real cute. I watched it. I'm a big fan of it. I don't remember what the name of it off the top of my head is. It's just like a lifestyle show, and there's cooking, and think Ina Garten, think what's her face, Martha Stewart.
Mm.
Why am I blanking on everything? But anyway, it's a cute show, and on every episode she has like some different. Sometimes it's a chef or some sort of expert in their field. Sometimes it's a famous friend, whatever. And so on this particular episode, she had some well-known friend she has who I want to say is from Argentina, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. But anyway, mate. A little bit about it. Also called yerba mate. It's a tea beverage, really known and popular in South American regions. It's brewed from dried leaves of an evergreen shrub or tree that's related to the holly. It does contain caffeine, but it's less astringent than most other teas. It's, like I said, it's common in a lot of South American regions, really common in Argentina. The author herself of this book, Fever Dream, Samanta Schweblin, is Argentinian as well. It has roots in Guarani indigenous peoples of South America, but according to Britannica.com, Veronica, it was a plant that's also been cultivated by Jesuit missionaries. And I mentioned that because we just had the passing of the Pope, who was a Jesuit. So RIP, shout out to the Pope. Okay, the preparation of mate is special. And so if you watch the Meghan Sussex show, you probably got to see some of that process. What you do is you fill a container with the leaves. I think this container is called a calabash. I keep wanting to say calabasa, but it's a gourd. And so you pour hot water over the leaves and you drink it through a metal straw that I think is called a bombilla. And that acts as a filter so that you're getting the tea and not the leaves, because it's just like loose leaves. It's not like tea bags. You can get mate in tea bags if you want to, but traditionally it's made this way. What is customary is that this is something that happens with friends or loved ones. This is a social beverage. It's a social experience. And so there's one person who prepares the tea, and it's also pretty common for that person to drink the first brew to ensure that the quality is good for guests. After that, they make subsequent brews for their guests. So it's a nice display of hospitality and caretaking. But by the way, I should tell you, if you haven't had mate, it's very earthy. And so I didn't find, and I'll explain more when I get into the cocktail, but I didn't find any mate tea. This is Guayaquil's yerba mate. It's like canned. And you can get, I think, the original flavor. This one is flavored. This one's Bravo Mango. So, and then like I have another one I think it says like something berry. So you can get different flavors. And so it does have this one is sweetened. You can get it unsweetened, but that one has a little bit of sweetness to it. What I found online is that the earthiness of the mate tea would work best with a smoky mezcal. So we're having mate meet mezcal. The name of the drink I went and found off of prooftv.bar is called the Wake Up Call, which is nice because when you're coming out of a fever dream, you need a wake up call. I would classify the Wake Up Call as more of a mixed drink, albeit it's an elevated mixed drink than a cocktail. And for those of you who don't know, the difference between the two being that a mixed drink is going to be your base spirit and then some kind of mixer like juice or soda. And your cocktail will have slightly more complex fusion of ingredients and flavors and so forth. The Wake Up Call is a mixed drink to me. And it starts with the Guayaquil yerba mate. I'm holding it up for people who get the video episode and for Veronica, but for our people on Patreon who get the video episode, you can see it. And they sell this in most grocery stores. I was able to find it no problem here. It's pre-brewed chilled mate. Comes in those yellow cans. The recipe off of this website, and we always link this stuff for you guys in show notes. It calls for 1.5 ounces of mezcal. The mezcal that I used is one that we've used before. It's the I don't know how you say this, Del Maguey Single Village Mezcal. It's the Chichicapa. They have different labels. So this one is the Chichicapa label, and this one you can pick up at Total Wine. So 1.5 ounces of mezcal, 1 ounce of the canned yerba mate. Then you're going to do 1/4 ounce of mate syrup. So what you would do is you would go and you would get mate tea bags, and then how you make your simple syrup, equal parts water, equal parts sugar. You simmer that on the stove. Drop your tea bags in there so that you're doing essentially a tea infused simple syrup. So you're getting that extra flavor of mate in the drink. You would finish this off with 1/4 ounce of fresh lime juice, 1/2 ounce pineapple juice, and some chocolate bitters. I know that sounds weird, but that's what the recipe calls for. This is the kind that we typically always have on hand. We use Fee Brothers Aztec chocolate bitters. A note about the lime juice and the pineapple juice: if you get a yerba mate that is like a flavored, like this one's Bravo Mango, you could conceivably skip that step because it has a juice flavor to it. It doesn't taste quite as earthy as natural mate does. So you throw this all in a shaker, shake it up with ice, and then you strain into an old-fashioned glass with a large ice cube. Like I said, I'm not drinking that tonight because I'm just feeling very run down. So I'm just drinking tea. But I will tell you, I have sampled this at a previous day. I did have to make some adjustments. So I'm just going to tell you what some of those adjustments were. I could not find mate tea bags anywhere. I went to multiple grocery stores and I struck out. So I had to do a tea infusion with the tea that I'm drinking tonight. As a matter of fact, it's Harney and Sons Hot Cinnamon Sunset, which is just basically a black tea with quote unquote warming spices. So I did that. And it's really tasty. This tea is delicious. I love it. It tastes a lot like the tea that our mother used to make for like New Year's and stuff, for like special occasions. It's like a cinnamon flavor to it. And if you make this particular tea infusion that I did, this simple syrup would go really well in an old fashioned. So, two cocktails with one simple syrup. And then the other variant that I did was I didn't use an original flavor can. I did the Bravo Mango. So those are the modifications I made. We'll link that for you guys. The mocktail version of this is honestly just to enjoy the Guayaki yerba mate by itself. It's not carbonated. That was the other thing I was going to say. It's not carbonated. You can shake it up in the cocktail shaker and not have it fizz everywhere. I've tried this on its own too, and it's really good. I like it. It pairs really well with the mezcal. So enjoy it and cheers to you. So our latest book club pick, guys, was Fever Dream by Samanta Schweblin. This is a book that was published in 2014, and then the English translation came out in 2017. So it's been out there for a while, but neither Veronica nor I had read it. So we were excited to read it. So here's a little short description of the book, and then we can go from there. A young woman named Amanda lies dying in a rural hospital clinic. A boy named David sits beside her. She's not his mother. He's not her child. Together, they tell a haunting story of broken souls, toxins, and the power and desperation of family. So, Veronica, give me your opening thoughts on what you thought of this book. Veronica had to tell me like 3 or 4 times that you did the audiobook.
Well, I mean, it's really short.
What was that? How long was the audiobook?
I think I pretty much finished it in the commute, either to work or from work. I don't remember. But yeah, and I listened to it last week, so I can only speak obviously to my experience as an audiobook listener listening to this on audiobook. Because I couldn't find the physical copy, none of my libraries had it, and Barnes and Noble, none of my local bookstores had it. So I went the audiobook route. It probably would have lent itself better to reading the words myself, because I don't know. I was pretty confused. I mean, I was following along, but then the ending came and I was like, wait, what? What happened? That's it?
That's it? Excuse me?
So, I mean, it was interesting. And I will say, like, an important thing for an audiobook narrator to do is to be consistent with the voices that they give to different characters. And with the David character, the voice that she gave him didn't always match. So sometimes I was like, wait, now who's talking now?
Oh.
Because it was slightly different than sometimes it sounded more feminine, and I was like, wait, who's talking?
Well, that's interesting. Well, as we get into it and talking about what the book is about, I wonder if that was a deliberate choice. We'll have to, because I
Hmm.
have there are some questions I found online related to some of the book. I having not listened to the audiobook, that kind of almost reveals something that a lot of people
Oh,
I found online suspected. But you liked it
yeah, it was
in
interesting.
general. Really interesting, really cool concept. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, man, you could almost take this concept and turn it into a whole show. Kind of like what's that show? Black Mirror? I don't know. Yeah, this was one of the, because of its shortness, this was one of those books that I started reading and then just boom, I finished it in like an afternoon of just the amount of time I spend sitting in cars waiting for kids to get out of places. I had plenty of time to just read, so I was just reading it all, and I finished it in an afternoon. The brevity of it obviously makes you want more, and you're just like, no, it can't end this way. So I don't know if this is classified as a novella. I would classify it as one. Do you like novellas? Do you read?
I don't read a lot of novellas or short stories just because I don't feel like I ever really sink into the
Mhm.
characters, or it just feels like it's like an appetizer. It's okay, but it's not really filling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like
So,
inevitably, I don't know if this is always like I do enjoy reading them, but yeah, I think it's a lot of times you get an incomplete picture and you
mhm,
kind of just have to receive it as like, well, okay, that was that moment and now that moment's over.
yep.
So sometimes that can like I thought this was really compelling. I think the incomplete picture of it is almost what made it so compelling because I told you at the time, I don't know if you remember, but I told you at a previous episode that I had finished it and that I was still sitting with it. So I mean, it really after I finished it, I really thought I thought about it all the rest of the evening. I was just thinking about it, sitting, like I said, sitting with it for a while. Were there any like we came across reviews, things that pose interesting questions that we link for you guys like we always do. I certainly did jot down some of the ones that I wanted to ask you, but were there any questions that stood out to you coming out of this that you had or wanted to pose?
Well, I'm just confused, and maybe I missed it. Trying to avoid an accident or something in my drive. The whole she's in a clinic, she's dying. David, was he there? Was he really not there? Was this just all in her mind? It was just confused.
That's what people discuss online. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was like, maybe I missed something somewhere.
there is that question that comes up multiple times. Is David a hallucination? Is Nina, her daughter, is Nina a hallucination? Are Amanda and Carla the same person, really just transmigrating between each other in some kind of fever dream? So there are a lot of people that I came across both online and on like Goodreads who felt the same way. It's just like, is any of this really happening? And there's a line she says where she kind of hold on. I'm gonna find it. I have to find it. Maybe it's from the Guardian piece. Okay, yes. Okay. When Amanda doubts whether any of this is happening or really happened the way she remembers it, this is a seed that the author Schweblin plants variants of throughout the book. At one point, David tells her, "It's happening, Amanda. I'm kneeling at the edge of your bed in one of the rooms at the
Hmm.
emergency clinic. We don't have much time, and before time's out, we have to find the exact moment." They keep talking about the exact moment.
What exact moment?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like, there's an urgency that's laced throughout the book of just like you're building towards
I
the
know
end of something. You're running out of time. You have to find the exact moment.
well, and he keeps saying that's not important. You're missing what's important, or
Yeah,
things
yeah,
to that effect. And I'm like, well, what is it? Why don't you just say it?
yeah. Why don't you just
Spit
tell
it
me
out.
what matters, David?
Spit it out, man.
Yeah, he says that. That's also quoted. None of this is important, he keeps
Yeah.
saying. One of the things that I had marked, this is from that Guardian piece. Early in the book, Amanda talks about the rescue distance. It
Mhm.
comes up a couple of times. And actually, the rescue distance, that was the Spanish title of the book. And then, like in the translation, it became Fever Dream. But early in the book, Amanda talks about the rescue distance, which is the variable safe distance between Amanda and Nina at any one time. So I wanted to ask you, does the rescue distance represent anything more for you beyond what's explained in the book? Like the novel describes it in terms of like a rope, something that tethers Amanda and Nina together. And then as the connection is giving way towards the end, the rope is starting to break. So I was just curious to know if like that resonated with you in any way or if you
I think it probably resonates with any parent. I mean, we all have that. It changes as your children get older. Obviously, my kids are early 20s, mid to late teens, but certainly when they're little, you have that rescue distance where you're watching them toddle off. Okay, they're getting too close to that step, or they're kind of timing in your head, like, how fast can I get to them before calamity happens?
Yeah. One of the obvious questions, which I don't know if like you picked up on it or had different things come through for you with the reading of it, but similarly, people asked online like what's causing David's illness and the other children in the village for that matter. What are your thoughts on the way the book depicts this is I'm again, these are questions I'm pulling from different sources. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on the way the book depicts the state of agriculture there? It seems like the agriculture in this community is like the big business, and so it's just at the expense of the rural people in this community. It's putting toxins in the
Mhm.
like, what do you think has made these children ill? The book refers to it as worms. It feels like worms.
After finishing it, I think I came across something that, because I went into this like I do with the movies. I didn't have any clue what this was about, other
Mhm,
than it's in the horror genre somewhere on the spectrum. But I knew nothing about it. But after reading it, I did obviously come across some things that, I guess, if you have to put a label on it,
mhm,
would slot it under something like eco horror. And so then obviously that would have been the author's intention, is to point towards things that we do to the environment,
mhm.
that are causing these sicknesses in the children of the village, or just people of the village in general, and specifically of David. And but when I was listening to the audiobook and having no knowledge that that's where this was going, all her little subtle, I mean, obviously the horse is drinking from the water where there's a dead bird. Was it a bird?
Like
That's
a duck,
something.
yeah, I think it was a
Did
duck.
something in the water. But I missed, I'll just be totally honest, I totally missed all the little hints about clues that might have pointed me towards, oh, this is about environmental
Did you think
factors.
there do
Because
you
I
think
was I was really pretty much looking for like supernatural
supernatural?
forces.
Well, because like I don't I feel like we're talking about something we read so long ago. But I was just like, do you remember the lady who does the ritual? I don't like
Mhm.
in the greenhouse or whatever. The
Mhm.
I'll just call it the ritual because I don't know what else to call it. Yeah, I got the vibe that there must be something sort of supernatural going on because when what's her face? What's the lady's name? Carmen?
Which one?
Not
I don't
Amanda,
remember.
but the lady she's talking to, Carla.
Pardon.
Because when Carla's relaying the story of what happened to David, and she describes David coming down the hallway after the ritual that this
Mhm.
lady did, and David just seems not like himself at all at that point. I was just thinking, man, what the hell is going on in this little community? The devil's in this community. I definitely thought that there was something really I thought it was an interesting combination of environmental toxins interlaced with potentially something supernatural. Coming out of the end of this book now, I don't know that it's something supernatural, but it is definitely when we're talking about
Well, I don't know if I
souls
don't
migrating,
I
then
don't know that the cause of the sickness was supernatural, but definitely that lady's
yeah,
cure
something's happening. Yeah.
cure or her fix for the problem is supernatural. Assuming that was real, assuming she actually could transmit. But that's what it sounded like, right? Like David's soul would go into another body,
Right.
and
Right,
his
and then, like
body would be
and you
inhabited
wouldn't
by, I don't know
necessarily
what.
yeah, and you wouldn't necessarily have any control over where it goes or who he crosses with, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then, like so that's
But was
his
she successful, or did Carla just from then on, because that seed was planted in her mind that her son was going to be different? Is that all then she saw was the differences
yeah, like
when it was
she
really just her son?
that's interesting. That's interesting. So it's just because, like, there's a few
Like, I don't know, man. It's all smoke and mirrors. Like, I
there's
don't
a
know what's
few
real.
things we came across that referred to, like, Carla's belief in the occult, and so, like,
Hmm.
that lady, the greenhouse lady, is, like, of the occult. I don't even full confession here, I don't even remember the occult being mentioned. I guess that's what that is, you know, but I guess I'm meant to infer that based off of what she actually goes and does, but I don't even remember an actual reference to the occult. But anyway, yeah, that's a good theory is like that's just all in her head. The seed is planted there by this other person
Hmm.
and her belief system, and so Carla just buys into it, hook, line, and sinker, and
Yeah,
believes that
because
her.
just because that lady says I can do this doesn't mean she actually can do it.
And then like what was weird coming out of that is like all the dead animals that were buried around their house that she believes David had a hand in killing or whatever. And I think later on in the book he describes it as like I didn't kill them. I
Might
don't
have
know.
just been there drinking the
Right.
water or
I
eating.
guided them, kind of like how what he does with Amanda. I guided them over or something. But did you have any questions before I go digging
Well,
around
just
for
like
other
what
stuff?
was happening at the end? Her husband came because she was just there with Nina.
So
Like it was a vacation trip, and he was going to be coming later because he
he
was
was
still
going to be
working in the
coming
city.
later. And so then what happens is, and so I did the ebook, so I can easily like, I guess, pull up the
And what
text.
happened to Carla? Did she live? Did she die? I mean,
I don't know. I think she either died or she ran. She like decided that the little girl went back to her father. The body anyway went back to her father.
so
Amanda.
Nina died too?
No, because see, at the end of the book, he has shown back up to. Is that the dog?
Yes.
I just see the door like flying open. At the end of the book, what is the father's name?
I don't. Did they say? Did they ever
I don't
say his
know.
name?
The father goes back to talk to David's father. Hey, she's healing and she's recovering and everything, but she's not quite the same. And David's father is like, yeah, none of them are the same. I can't explain why either. You just have to. This is your reality now. I get the sense that her body is back home with him recovering, but as I think and as I think other people online also feel, Nina's spirit or soul, whatever essence is now in David. Did you feel that way too? Listening
No,
to the
not
No?
at all.
No? Okay, but hang on.
Well, why would she be in David?
Well, because I'm gonna read to you the ending sections. I did think the ending was kind of beautiful. Like there's a certain point where Amanda is dying or whatever. This is David telling her, Amanda, this is going to be the last effort. This is the last thing that will happen. So he's telling her, pay attention, Amanda. And she's saying, yes, I see him. It's my husband. He's driving our car. He's entering the town now. Is this really happening? And he says, don't interrupt the story. Don't waste any more time talking to me, he says. So the father gets there. He goes. He's talking to David's father. May I speak with you? Father offers him mate, but then doesn't actually give it to him. Nina's father notices hanging on the wall behind them, there are two pictures. There's a bunch of things that David has attempted to tidy up. He's attempted to like hang things and clean things and tend to the house. Nina's father's just trying to get answers. He says, do you know what happened? What happened to Nina? David's father says, there's nothing I can tell you. As you can see, I would also like to have someone to ask. So as you see, like, here's David doing all this weird crap. You wait quietly, attentive to my husband, and now he's starting to tie everything. Your father points toward the living room where many more things are hanging from rope or tied together with it. Now my husband's attention is focused on that. It doesn't seem like a disproportionate number of things. It seems more like, in your own way, talking to David, you were trying to do something with the deplorable state of the house and everything in it. Basically, as Nina's father is leaving and preparing to get to his car, David has finagled his way into the back seat. And the reason why I and other readers I came across online thought maybe Nina was now in David is because David curls up with her stuffed animal that had been left in the back seat and curls up crisscross applesauce the same way that Nina used to sit in the back seat. And David is staring up at him kind of just with like these hopeful eyes. And you kind of get the sense that she is begging for her father to recognize her in this boy. And he doesn't. I mean, the tragedy of it is that he doesn't. And he just asks David to get out of the car. And David goes back into the house with that father. And her actual father drives off. And that's the way the book ends, is, that's the end. You didn't pick up on that?
No, but why would Nina be in David?
Remember, like Amanda and Nina both get sick. Carla took Nina to Greenhouse Lady and she performed the ritual. I think Carla even says this in the story. Like she confesses to Amanda that she had no choice to do that, to try to save the little girl, versus Amanda just goes to the hospital and is being treated at the clinic there. Carla takes Nina to Greenhouse Lady. Greenhouse Lady performs a ritual on Nina. And so that's how the switch happens.
Well, then what happens to whatever soul was already inhabiting David from
I
when
don't
the
I don't
switch was
know.
done on
I
him.
I don't know. I don't know how many souls David can hold. Maybe he holds many souls. I don't know. And then so Amanda, when she dies, she just dies because she didn't have the ritual done on her. Maybe it's like an age thing. Maybe you get to a point where you're just too old for the ritual to be done on you. Because in the book, Carla does let her know that. She's like, I'm sorry. It was what had to be done, says Carla. It's happening now. Why are Nina's hands covered in mud? What do my daughter's hands smell? This is all what it says.
Well,
So
that's why I
yeah,
said it probably would have lent itself better to having read it myself. I just didn't have time to.
some people were wondering if like if it's all just some sort of afterlife. I don't
Oh,
know.
is that why you were asking or commenting on it was interesting that I was saying the
Yeah,
audiobook narrator that at times when
right.
it
Because
was
like
David sounded a little more feminine?
feminine. Yeah, because if that's the case, if Nina is in him, then maybe that was the narrator trying to portray that a little bit. I don't know.
Hmm. Still very strange. I think I would have liked the ritual distance title better.
The rescue the what is
Rescue
it?
distance?
Rescue distance,
What did
yeah.
I say?
Ritual distance.
Ritual distance.
The
Rescue
rescue
distance.
distance. Yeah. And I thought that there was going to be more to that. I also thought there was
Well,
going to
I'm
be
sure if it had been like a full length novel,
yeah.
she could
I
have delved more into all these little things that,
I also thought there was going to be more to the worms because they keep mentioning the worms and it
yeah.
feels like worms and I was just like what happens when the worms get inside you? But this is again one of those stories that I think talks about death and kind of crossing over in such a beautiful way. I really thought that those ending sequences where David is trying to guide Amanda to see the last thing. Although I don't know what the purpose of that is. It's like if do you believe, now knowing what we've talked about, that probably Nina is inside David now? Do you believe, this was another question that came up, that it's Nina talking to Amanda in the clinic this whole time, trying to guide Amanda towards this realization? There are a lot of readers who felt that way about it. And I guess coming out of reading it, certainly that seems likely because why would David care so much to guide Amanda through this discovery? It would be Nina who would care. Although, why is she trying to guide
How
Amanda
old
to?
was Nina in this book, though?
I
Do
mean,
you
I
remember?
got the sense younger than David, but very
Mm-hmm.
smart. She mentions that in the book. She's very smart. She's very communicative and wise for her age. I would have to believe that it would be Nina trying to guide Amanda because she's the one who would care. But I guess, like, what's the point of guiding Amanda towards this realization when there's nothing she can do about it? She's dying, you know? You have nothing to say?
Well,
I want your deep thoughts. Give me your deep thoughts.
I mean, I don't know. I can't, because if that's the last thing that if she makes that realization, if she makes that connection, if what this theory holds true, then what she's witnessing is she's making this connection and she's seeing her husband unintentionally abandoning their daughter.
Yeah, but she can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
She's dying.
So I'm like, why would you want to make her watch that?
Maybe she was trying to guide Nina. No, maybe Nina was trying to guide Amanda, who's dying, to get her soul to come to Nina. Like, come be with me inside David's body and we'll be together. I don't know.
No,
That would be the only resolution that would make sense. Otherwise, it's just like,
there's no mechanism for that to happen. She's in the clinic. She's not at the greenhouse with the lady.
but souls transmigrate. It's transmigration. Whatever. Like, it's never explained to us how this ritual happens.
But there's a ritual. It's not like Nina can just say, "Oh, I'm going to hop over to that body now."
I don't know. I mean, we never see the ritual. I don't know what the ritual is. Maybe it's just this old lady taking you through guided meditation. I do think that, yeah, it's got to be Nina who's talking to Amanda because I can't see why David would care so much to try to guide Amanda through that realization. Because what does he care? He doesn't know that woman.
Why go to that roundabout way and never actually just come out and say, "Hey, Mom, it's me, Nina." Spend those last few moments talking to her as Nina instead of. It's an interesting theory, but
then you don't have a story. Every book has to then you don't have a book. Then it's just like.
But then you have a story that has like practical elements that are like, okay, but why? Why would you do it that way? It doesn't make sense.
I don't know that practicality is the thing we would be playing with in this particular story. I don't know. I think maybe there's a good chance Amanda would who isn't even, she spends most of the book very confused, very disoriented. There's a good chance she wouldn't even comprehend what Nina would be trying to tell her if she were to come out and say, hey, Mom, it's me. I'm trapped inside this boy's body. So I don't know. Maybe she's just trying to guide her soul to this place. But why is a mystery that we don't get to know. Is there anything you wanted to say about this particular article that I have linked? Has a big old review on the disease, what is the toxins, whatever. We'll link that for you guys for sure.
Must have worked really fast, whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, you get the sense that it happens really fast because, like, with that horse, how it starts, like with that horse that drank from the stream and then like pretty promptly got sick, and then David pretty promptly got sick. In the space that Amanda and Nina were sitting in the grass watching those men do stuff, that's when like they started falling ill almost immediately. I guess the thing that I kind of found interesting is like, how is it that Carla, who's lived in the community all this time, how does she not get sick? How does her husband not get sick? And it seems like all of the children of the community go to the clinic during the day. That's sort of like their space to be. So it's like I got the sense that, okay, so none of the adults in this community catch it. It's just the children that are afflicted.
Lots of little questions that don't add up.
Well,
or that lead to more questions. But I guess that's the point of a short story or a novella is obviously you don't have the page count to answer everything or to flesh out every idea, but you can kind of like put out little teasers and leave it to the reader to figure it out.
As far as like the toxins and the children impacted, there are these are things that I don't think you and I necessarily know enough about, but there are people that pose questions about like what did we learn about the state of our, because this is taking place in, I guess, like Argentinian countryside. So what did we learn about the state of Argentinian agriculture and its impact on the surrounding citizens? I think in one of the articles somewhere that we have linked, they do reference potential actual problems with big ag, for lack of a better word, creating
how they regulate the use of certain poisons or toxins and the disposal of those things.
So creating potentially perhaps unsafe environments for communities, and who knows, maybe it has been impacting children at higher rates. So those are things that like I not living in Argentina, I don't know enough of.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Okay.
You know I never left you.
Well, I'm sorry, guys.
That's all I know.
Apologies to our Argentinian listeners.
They probably hate that song. I don't know.
I know they probably.
No offense meant. It's just it popped into my head. I had to give it voice.
Were there any other things you wanted to discuss or questions you had or themes, anything like that stood out to you?
I was just mainly confused about the ending and what was going on there. And actually, I might now have to find the time to reread, like maybe get the ebook. That's what you did, right? You have the ebook?
Yeah, I had because I couldn't find it either.
Get the ebook. When did you say it was published?
Original was published in 2014, and then the translated work was 2017.
Okay. Get the ebook and reread it, maybe with some of these theories in mind, and maybe I'll be able to find more clues or things that hint towards that. It was interesting. I mean, I liked it. I liked the concept of the rescue distance.
What did you think of like the format? Because the bulk of this book is just this conversation between these two people.
That probably would have been easier to follow in if I'd been reading it myself.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, honestly, though, like as I was reading it, it took me a second before I picked up who was who in the story. Because it's not like there's clear enough indications, at least in the opening pages, where it's like, okay, this is David talking. Okay, this is Amanda talking. In most pages that I read, there's italics distinguishing one voice from the other. But it took me a while to pick up on who's who. And I would get confused and forget, oh, I'm reading Amanda. Oh, that's not Amanda, that's David. So it takes a while to sort of get into the groove of it.
Because you said there's no like chapter breaks, right? It's just all...
Yeah, there's no chapter breaks. Because I was telling Ronnie initially, I didn't know how short this book was going to be. So I started reading the ebook and I was just reading through it and I was just like, man, this is a really long first chapter. Like, okay. And then as I looked at the progress bar and I was just like, well, shoot, I'm already halfway through. How long is this book? And then I looked and I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I guess I'll get it done. Yeah. So I finished it that day.
Has she
yeah.
written any longer, like long form books?
I think she's primarily a short story writer.
Mm.
So I don't know. Like a lot of people said, if you like this one, definitely check out Mouthful of Birds. She's put out 3 collections of short stories, a novella, and a novel. She works with Megan McDowell a lot as her translator.
You know, as we're sitting here and you meant, I don't know, one of us, I think it was you, mentioned how David keeps saying we have to, or he's telling when he's talking to Amanda, assuming this was all real, that he's looking for the exact moment when something happened, which we
Mhm.
never really know what that moment is. Kind of gets me to wonder, is that kind of how we all live our lives? You know, we're missing the moments, the important moments,
Yeah.
and we don't even know it. We don't even realize it. Like we're so focused on things that probably don't matter in the big scheme of things.
And in the focusing on the wrong things, we
Mhm.
actually miss the critical key moment that is, like,
Mhm.
worth a damn because, like,
Mhm.
as David pointed out, none of this matters. You're missing
Yeah.
the one thing that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't really know that we get a sense of what the thing is. I guess, like, the thing is, like, I want to know the exact moment when Nina I don't know. And also, if Nina is potentially now in David, where's David? Like, where
Yeah. That's what
I
that
guess
was my
David hasn't
question.
been there for a long time now, but, like,
It's like, and where is this lady
who's in
getting all
Nina?
like, is there just a stash of souls that are like unhoused souls that she's just plucking to fill? Like, where is she getting all these souls to take the place of the sick person?
I feel like it's mentioned somewhere in the beginning when the greenhouse lady is talking Carla through how it's gonna work, and she might make reference to that, but or, like, how it has to be someone nearby, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and read it. I don't remember what she says. Some unassuming dude walking by.
Interesting story. It was interesting.
It was interesting, and,
Mhm.
like, I'd be interested like I said, I like, novellas and short stories. Mouthful of Birds sounds interesting to me. That could be
And for
cool.
being a translated work, because sometimes those don't always work for me because stuff gets lost in translation. Like if I hadn't known that it was a translated work, I wouldn't have picked up on anything that felt
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, so it's, like I said, it's an old book. Chances are you've probably already read it, but if you haven't, definitely worth a read. It's a very easy read, and
Mhm.
yeah, this is the kind of book that it's like, this could be a really cool movie. This could be a cool show. This could
Mhm.
be like you could expand on this world and have so much fun with it. It's such an interesting concept, and so
Definitely.
it'd be cool.
It was so short actually that I was coming into this episode, I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about for. But the cool thing, not just with this, but it's happened with movies too, where I feel like I don't know that I really have a lot to say. But then as we start talking
Mhm.
and things pop up, like you'll say something that triggers a thought that then leads, to something else. So
Yeah,
that's been a cool discovery in this podcasting process is that
I
sometimes
know.
things just organically develop.
Well, that's what's so tricky about the creepy cocktail hours that we do because you haven't been able to jump on one because normally I always do them at a time when Veronica's still working or in this case traveling home from work now.
Mm.
But it's hard to fill space by myself. It's hard to fill time by myself. I have to bring like a lot of they're very information heavy cocktail hours, so, which is fine. Which by the way, guys, because I ran out of time this month, we do have a creepy cocktail hour coming up the last day of April 30th, which is a Wednesday. I know that's like not necessarily creepy cocktail prime time, but that's the last chance we can do it. And I think in honor of the film Sinners out right now, big hit, we'll do a little bit of chatting about vampires and stuff like that. So come to the creepy cocktail hour if you're
And
part of
I'm
our
the one who's
Patreon.
seen that movie.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm trying. I've already been exposed to some spoilers because I can't, like, it's everywhere. It's everywhere online. People are talking about it. It's really nice to see everyone's been very positive about it and it's doing great.
Like what's been
And
spoiled? Well, maybe you shouldn't say. You can tell me
yeah, I
because
don't,
we don't
yeah,
want to spoil people that haven't. You can
yeah,
tell me
I don't, but
separately.
yeah, I'm, like I
You
said,
know
I'm,
what? When watching the movie, it took me a minute to realize that Michael B. Jordan was playing
two people.
two people. I was like, dang, they did really good with the casting. They really do look like
You're such,
brothers.
you're such a goober.
They really do look like
Wow, they
really
found somebody who looks just like him. Nailed it. You dork.
They do look like they could be related.
Dork.
Well, hey, they had them wearing different colored hats, Valerie.
Okay.
Like one had a blue hat and one had a red hat.
You're somebody who would be fooled by Clark Kent with the glasses. You're like, where's Superman? Clark, have you seen him? Yeah, no, I want to go see it. I very much want to go see it. I'm probably gonna have to go see it by myself because Alex and I are never gonna like get out to the movies together ever again. So
Have mom and dad stay with the boys.
yeah, interesting book, very cool, worth a read, worth a reread for sure because we're a little fuzzy on things, so it's worth looking at it again.
But yeah, I would read something else that she wrote.
At the moment, we do not have another book picked out. We will get one picked out and announce it on our social medias. So you can find us Don't Watch at Night pod on pretty much everywhere, on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. Just, search Don't Watch at Night and you'll find us. The next movie we have coming up, guys, is we're entering Step Outside Spanish Language Month. So for the month of May, we're going to be looking at movies that are not Spanish language horror and can potentially be other foreign language films. So this first one we're going to look at, Eyes Without a Face, because we had access to it. So Eyes Without a Face is an old 1960s French horror film, and it's available on Max, HBO Max. So you can stream it there. We did have a recommendation, a great one for the movie Suspiria, the old one. If we could find it, that'd be awesome. We got to be, I don't know that we'll be able to find it. I don't know that it is streaming anywhere, unfortunately. And I don't necessarily want to do the reboot. What's her name? Dakota Johnson? And I'm sure it's a great reboot. It's just I don't want to see it because I'm like, well, let's see it like the American film. I want to see the
original,
right,
the OG.
So if we can find the OG, definitely. But yeah, we're gonna open the month with Eyes Without a Face. Check it out, and that'll be our next film. That'll be our next episode after this one. So just remember, guys, April 30th is Creepy Cocktail Hour. If you're part of our Patreon, you get those invites. If you're not part of our Patreon, we're going to link it in show notes. It's free to join. You get one video episode a month. And then if you want, you can join the $3 tier and get things like Creepy Cocktail Hour, which sometimes we open up to everyone. But generally, it is a $3 tier perk. And then you get first bid on live shows. All right. Follow us on social media so you get news when we drop our announcement on our next book club pick. Don't worry. We'll give you plenty of time to read that book so that you can be part of book club discussion episode later on down the pipe. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. Bye. I'm done.
Bye.
Okay. Don't Watch at Night is a Nest production hosted by me, Veronica, and Valerie. Editing by Valerie. Music by Omar Chakor. Production support for this episode provided by Lorenzo Villarreal and Alex Street. Listen to new episodes of Don't Watch at Night every other Monday, and don't forget to give us a rate and review. It's the best way to help us grow.